Hello, hello, everyone. You guys, I'm coming on this evening. I'm getting ready to go do a workout, and I thought I would just jump on really quick because I was thinking about awareness and people's levels of awareness, and I was thinking about connection. As you see a lot online where from my perception seems like a lot about what people are talking about is coming from what I perceive as a place of a deep disconnection. And I can completely relate. So, what I thought I would do today was close out my evening, do a little personal share. For a long time, I worked as a registered nurse, and I wanted to share a little bit about my story. I'll probably have to do this in multiple recordings, but I'm going to start out with this kind of musing that I was going over of awareness and connection and link it to my professional career and start by saying, are you just going through the motions or are you truly aware and feeling? What nursing taught me about disconnection and why I had to leave. Oh, you guys, this is so personal for me. Such a deep place. I have so much to talk about, and I'm just going to keep this short and on topic here for this one. And start out by saying the moment I knew I had to stop ignoring my soul. So there was a time when I thought exhaustion was normal, that anxiety before a shift. Oh, so much anxiety before a shift. If you were a nurse or you are a nurse, you know that feeling. Um, that anxiety before a shift, the emotional numbness, the chaos, and the deep fatigue were just part of the job and part of life. I spent years in nursing, showing up for 12-hour shifts, surrounded by sickness, addiction, suffering, loss, and traumatic life events. At some point, what was once might have bothered me. So there was a point where I realized that, you know what? This would have probably bothered me. But I had actually just became numb to it. It became just another day for me, and it was just another routine moment. So, death and trauma and human suffering, it all started to just feel normal. But normal wasn't the same as right, you know? What hit me the hardest wasn't just the chaos. It wasn't. I could handle chaos. But what got me was the disconnection. It was that moment when I realized I was just like, you know what? This is all just normal. We're just going through the motions. We're doing what we do. And I realized that I have disconnected. And I watched people who had no power over their bodies, their minds, or their health. I saw people living lives completely out of touch with themselves, waiting for someone or something to fix them. And the truth is, and I had this moment, I was becoming one of them. And who was coming to save me from what I had created? The silent cost of going through the motions. At first, I told myself I was fine and I could handle it. And this was just what it meant to be strong. But strength and numbness are not the same thing. The signs were there. The dread that set in before every shift, the anxiety that mounted before walking through the doors into another 12-hour day of emotional, mental, and physical depletion, the disconnect I felt, not just from my job, but from myself, in order to endure and help those in need. I had become so accustomed to survival mode that I didn't even realize I had stopped feeling. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. So when awareness hit, it's like you can't stay the same once you become aware of this. So, that's the funny thing about awareness. It's like once you wake up to the truth that you're merely existing instead of truly living, there's no going back. So I had a choice. I could either stay in the life that was draining my soul, or I could choose something different. I could keep going through the motions, or I could start feeling again. So I chose to leave because for me personally, and I have this funny analogy, and it just came to me one day, but I was like, this is like saying you want to go swimming, but you don't want to get wet. And I just laughed at myself when I realized that. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I don't want to be wet, and I'm not going to keep going swimming. So I chose to leave. So I went from numb to awake, essentially. So choosing to live with awareness. So walking away from a secure career into the unknown wasn't easy. Especially at midlife. You guys are like, I'm 43 years old, and this wasn't an easy choice for me. So I went back and forth about, okay, well, maybe I go back to school and, start a second career. And what? I looked at myself like, and do this all over again? Because I can't think of one thing that like I really want to go back to college for in my 40s. So, it wasn't easy. But what was harder was staying in a life that wasn't mine anymore. So I actually took a while to rest and begin the process of restoring myself. Then, instead of going back to college and starting a traditional career round two, I decided to take a new approach. And I stepped into soul mentorship, what I do now, because I knew people didn't just need healing, they needed empowerment. We weren't meant to be passive observers of our own lives. We're meant to be creators, deeply engaged in our own power and our own awareness and our own potential. So leaving nursing wasn't just about leaving a job. It was about choosing to live differently, to wake up, to feel, to guide others into their own power, to assist them in restoring their energy, releasing pain, and essentially rewiring their lives. It's what I've done. I've rewired my life. So my question was my question to myself, and my question to you guys too. Are you living or just existing? Are you truly aware and feeling? Or are you just moving through the motions of your life? If you feel stuck in routine, disconnected from yourself, exhausted by a life that no longer feels like your own, that is your soul speaking to you. It's not asking you to drop everything overnight. I didn't. But it is asking you to wake up. And it doesn't leave you alone. It hasn't me, anyways. It's asking you to wake up and to choose something different. To take one step, however small, towards living with awareness and feeling again. Because life isn't just meant to be survived, it's meant to be felt. So I'm going to close this up. The power of choosing awareness is a power move. For me, leaving nursing was about stepping into a new way of being entirely. New way of being. Even where I lived, just everything. It was about reclaiming my power, my presence, and my ability to feel deeply again, and ultimately to live the second half of my life in true alignment with my soul. For so long, I believed that exhaustion and emotional numbness were just part of life, part of being strong. But true strength isn't about enduring what no longer serves us, it's about having the courage to change. So I know I'm not alone in this. So many of us become desensitized to our own lives and caught in a cycle of obligation, routine, or silent burnout. We normalize disconnection because it's what we've been taught to push through, to keep going, and do what's expected. So, but here's the truth: life's not meant to be passively endured, it's meant to be deeply felt, fully lived, and intentionally created. So if you've been feeling the weight of disconnection, whether in your work, your relationships, or within yourself, consider this your sign to pause, to listen, and to ask yourself some honest and deep questions. Because you don't have to wait for a breaking point to choose awareness. You don't have to stay in places that drain you, and you don't have to keep living on autopilot. So you always have a choice, and that choice starts now. Bye, you guys.